Hello everyone, this is Sandeep Kumar Sinha. Welcome back once again to my channel with a new topic on the assumptions of marginal utility analysis of consumers equilibrium. Now let's start. Before coming to that point of assumptions of the marginal utility analysis, let me first explain what is the meaning of consumers equilibrium. As we know that consumption is related with the satisfaction of a consumer. That is, whenever a consumer consumes a commodity, always satisfaction is attached with the consumption of that commodity. And equilibrium is simply or literally means that is point of no change. Means that is the consumer has no tendency to shift. Whenever the consumer is consuming a commodity, that is the point of equilibrium. That is a simple meaning of consumer's equilibrium. Suppose a consumer is consuming a commodity and getting satisfaction from the different units of a commodity. One point is reached where the consumer thinks or finds that he or she is getting maximum satisfaction out of the total amount of money expenditure on the purchase of the commodities. Then that point may be termed as the point of consumer's equilibrium, where the consumer would be not having any tendency to shift on either side. That is, consumer if finds or thinks that he would not decrease or increase the consumption unit of the commodity by even a single unit, then that point of maximum satisfaction may be termed as the point of equilibrium for that consumer. Then how to define the point of equilibrium for any consumer? It simply means, what is the meaning of consumer's equilibrium? Means it is defined as that point of consumption where the consumer gets maximum satisfaction out of the total amount of money expenditure with his given money, income and prices of the two commodities, and finds or thinks that he has no tendency to move on either side. That point of consumption is called as the point of equilibrium for that consumer. It is very simple. There are two theories to explain the point of consumer's equilibrium. I have just written the definition of this consumer's equilibrium. Means what is the meaning of consumer equilibrium? It is that point of consumption where the consumer gets maximum satisfaction out of the total expenditure with given money. Given means कहते हैं यहाँ पर constant fixed. But during the whole course of consumption, income will not change. And prices of the two commodities or 3, 4, 1, whatever be the number of commodities, prices of the commodities consumed by the consumer would also remain unchanged during the whole course of consumption. And the consumer has no tendency to shift. मतलब उसको शिफ्ट करने की टेंडेंसी नहीं है, मतलब ना एक अधिक करेगा और ना एक कम करेगा. तो उस पॉइंट को कहते हैं point of consumer's equilibrium for that consumer. Now there are two theories. Two theories are there to explain the concept of consumer's equilibrium or the theory of consumer's equilibrium. First theory is called as Cardinal Approach or also called as Marginal Utility Analysis. This theory contains the description of two cases. First one relates to the single commodity case where the consumer is consuming only one commodity, and the theory explains how the consumer reaches to that point of equilibrium or the point of maximum satisfaction. And the second theory that is relates to this two commodity case. Two commodity case means this theory contains the description of the equilibrium of a consumer when the consumer consumes two commodities, not one commodity, and the expenditure, total amount of money expenditure is there on the purchase of those two commodities is also referred to as law of equi-marginal utility. This theory of the second one, that is marginal utility analysis related to the two commodity case, is also referred to as law of equi-marginal utility. And the second approach is, that is Ordinal Approach, or also called as indifference curve analysis, which contains the description of the equilibrium of a consumer when the consumer consumes two commodities and tools जो है यहाँ पर दो यूज करते हैं. The two tools to describe the point of equilibrium are indifference curve and budget line. All these three descriptions, the descriptions of these three equilibrium theories would be described or simply explained by me in the later video. To explain each and every theory of consumer's equilibrium, there are certain factors on which the theory of explanation of consumer's equilibrium is based. Let us discuss first the assumptions of the marginal utility analysis, which I have just written on the board. First an assumption on which the theory of marginal utility analysis, or simply called as utility analysis, is based is that the utility derived from the consumption of different units of a commodity can be measured and expressed in numbers, that is cardinal numbers. That is the first assumption. This is one. Whatever the satisfaction that any consumer derives from the consumption of a commodity can be measured and expressed in numbers. Suppose a consumer is consuming a commodity and suppose he thinks or he finds that he gets satisfaction equivalent or equal to 10 utils of satisfaction. Then this 10 utils of satisfaction is the called as cardinal utility, cardinal measurement of utility is possible. That is number one. Number two, this is the diminishing marginal utility, that is additional satisfaction derived from the consumption of additional units of a commodity that goes on decreasing with the every additional consumption unit of that commodity. जैसे जैसे consumption units बढ़ता जाता है तो marginal utility means additional satisfaction additional units की consumption से घटता जाता है. That is second assumption on which the theory is based. Number three, the consumer has got a rational behavior. Rational behavior का मतलब क्या होता है? That is every consumer tries to get maximum satisfaction out of the minimum amount of expenditure on the purchase of those commodities which the consumer desires to purchase to have the consumption. तो जो भी उसका बिहेवियर है रैशनल है, मीन्स कम से कम खर्च करना चाहता है और अधिक से अधिक सेटिस्फैक्शन लेना चाहता है. नाउ द नंबर फोर्थ इज प्राइसेस. जो भी है कमोडिटीज का मार्केट में जो भी कंजम्पशन करता है कंज्यूमर किसी भी कमोडिटी का, उस कमोडिटी का प्राइस जो होगा जब तक कंजम्पशन चलता रहता है दैट ऑलवेज रिमेन्स कांस्टेंट, दैट इज रिमेनिंग फिक्स, डज नॉट चेंज. मींस प्राइसेस जो भी हमारा है दैट रिमेन्स कांस्टेंट इन द मार्केट ड्यूरिंग द होल कोर्स ऑफ कंजम्पशन. जब तक कंजम्पशन चलेगा प्राइसेस न घटेगा और न ही बढ़ेगा. नंबर 5 इज द मार्जिनल यूटिलिटी ऑफ मनी, दैट इज मार्जिनल यूटिलिटी ऑफ 1 rupee that always remains constant. That is the fifth one, marginal utility of 1 rupee, that is marginal utility of 1 rupee that remains constant. Now let me explain what is marginal utility of 1 rupee. Suppose, simple example, suppose a consumer is consuming a commodity X, is spending every additional unit of rupee on the purchase of commodity X. Now the next unit of rupee is not spent on the commodity X, but rather he is spending that additional amount of 1 rupee on the purchase of the other commodity, let it be Y. So whatever be the additional satisfaction that the consumer gets from that additional rupees spent on commodity Y, that is not on the commodity X which was the regular consumption done by the consumer. तो X को छोड़कर अगर Y पर एक्स्ट्रा 1 रुपया खर्च करता है तो वट एवर इज द एडिशनल सेटिस्फैक्शन डिराइव्ड दैट इज कॉल्ड एज मार्जिनल यूटिलिटी ऑफ 1 rupee. दैट रिमेन्स कांस्टेंट. इट इज टेकन टू बी कांस्टेंट फॉर द सेक ऑफ सिंप्लिसिटी ऑफ एक्सप्लेनेशन ऑफ द थ्योरी ऑफ इक्विलिब्रियम, because the consumption units जो भी होगा that gives satisfaction in utils, that is the units of measurement, and the prices paid by the consumer is in rupees. Then how to make the comparison and reaching to the point of equilibrium or the point of maximum satisfaction? So for that said it has taken to be constant, that is marginal utility of 1 rupee remains constant. That is the fifth one. And sixth is that is income of the consumer is given, means will not increase and not decrease, but the income neither increases nor decreases during the whole course of consumption. जो भी income है consumer का, जब तक consumption चलता रहता है वो fixed होता है. Now the last assumption of marginal utility analysis is the total income of the consumer is spent on the purchase of commodities consumed. That is, saving is equal to zero. जितना भी कमाई है किसी भी कंज्यूमर का वो पूरा का पूरा खर्च कर देता है, सेविंग्स एकदम जीरो है. तो these are the 7 assumptions on which the marginal utility analysis is based. That is all about the assumptions, that is consumer's equilibrium and the assumptions of marginal utility analysis. If you are new to my channel, then please like and subscribe my channel. That provides me an incentive to do something more for you. So see you in the next video. Till then, thank you. Goodbye.